So I was originally going to wait to do this, but I was just like, let's just do this. And again, I'm going to simulate everything. I just picked Ohio State because they're one of the most relevant teams, obviously ranked second. And we are just going to simulate to get to, I guess this is week 0. So you can see if you're looking at the schedule. Oh, no, this is not the schedule. This is Ohio State's schedule. Yeah, so let's see how, I want to see how the game times of these. They've got this at 3:30. These games have already been, the Akron game is at 7:30. So these game times are not correct. Oh, no, the Akron game's at 3:30. The Western Michigan game, I think, is at 7:30. But there is that. Pretty standard start times, not too surprising. But I know there are like 4 week 0 games. Here you can look at the scores. This year week 0 is terrible. Oh, there it is, FCS Northwest. It's such a shame they don't actually have 11:45 Eastern. Yeah, but we're just gonna go ahead and simulate through week 0. Obviously, not too many games happening, but we will check the scores and see who won in week 0. Because FSU was playing. FSU was playing. Let's go back to week 0. Wow, FSU wins 41-38. Georgia Tech was like 13-point underdogs there. You do have New Mexico easily dispatching of an FCS team. You do have Nevada. Come on. See, this is just not... Nevada destroys SMU. In real life, SMU's sitting 24-point favorites, but okay. And Hawaii. They've got like a weird Madden generic stadium in this game. They get a nice victory, barely, against an FCS team right there. So this is where it gets good. We're going to take a look at the top 25. Where does everyone rank right now? This is probably how it's going to be, honestly. Like, it is pretty cool that we have this before the top 25 actually comes out. This is, we'll go by media. Georgia with 35 first place votes coming into the season. Ohio State sitting with 26. So the Buckeyes very close to Georgia, but Georgia with the return of Carson back. They're facing Clemson in a neutral site game. That'll be interesting. Texas gets 1 first place vote. They're going to be facing Colorado State at home. Oregon versus an FCS team. You've got Ole Miss, you've got Bama sitting at number 6, Penn State at number 7, Notre Dame at 8, Michigan sitting at 9, Missouri inside of the top 10, Florida State, they get that win. Not a very close game, not that surprising with this sim. They win by 3. Utah sitting at number 12 right now. Their first year in the Big 12. We do have LSU. Oklahoma with a pretty nice ranking there at 14. Tennessee with the young superstar QB Nico Lamaliva at number 15, Arizona at 16 after a breakout season. Clemson, they're a solid team, 87 overall in this game at number 17. Oklahoma State at number 18, Kansas State at 19, Louisville at number 20, Kansas at number 21. Wow, they don't even have their offenses that good. See, I don't think that's realistic. I would put Kansas's offense as like an 86 and their defense is like a 77. I think there's a lot more variance between that. NC State, they should be pretty good. In real life, I think NC State's probably going to be top 15, but we'll see. Miami, they always seem to be like 23rd or 24th or 25th. They got a big game against Florida on the road. A&M, and then USC gets a shout out. They do have a ton of talent. The air raid Lincoln Riley offense, first year in the Big Ten. We will see what happens there. But we are just going to simulate past this week, and then we will take a look at all of the games in week 1. See if there were any upsets. There probably are going to be. So let's see. What did Ohio? Looks like Ohio State won, I'm guessing. Ohio State did win. Let's go to the results. Georgia wins by 3 over Clemson. Seriously? Oh my goodness. All right, so some of the results. USC beats LSU in a ranked matchup. LSU was only 21st. They're going to be probably ranked inside the 15. See, this is just where it gets ridiculous already. It makes me want to rage quit. Boston College wins 40-14 on the road at Florida State. That was the Monday game. Very, very realistic there. At least the FCS teams are not winning. Yeah, the FCS teams right now. Minnesota beats North Carolina by 2. Higher scoring game. UCF barely beats an FCS team. NC State barely beats an FCS team. Toledo barely beats an FCS team. Kansas gets an easy win. San Jose. Utah easily wins. Oklahoma beats Temple by 21. Duke wins. What a boring game this was. TCU on a Friday beats Stanford 18-15, 63-0. Texas Tech with a statement against an FCS team. Arkansas 52-3. Boise State gets a win over Georgia Southern on the road. Kind of a weird game there. More FCS matchups, higher scoring games. Florida International nearly beats Indiana. Ole Miss, not a great performance there in week 1. Iowa scores 31 points. Miami of Ohio beats Northwestern on the road. That's not all that surprising. 52-30. Wow. Will Kyle McCord with an air raid? Is Kyle McCord the favorite to win the Heisman in this game? Really? Really? Wisconsin's going to lose to Western Michigan? And that's such a bad logo. I don't know why Western Michigan has that. That's a statement game for Maryland to start off the season. Georgia Tech loses. So they lost by 3 points last week, and now they lose by 11. Oh, come on now. Wait, so Michigan's dropped down to number 23 already. They lose to Fresno State by 2. They allow 36 points coming off a national title. Oh, Nebraska loses to UTEP. Michigan State holds serve. Baylor beats an FCS team. Houston in a higher scoring game against UNLV. What is that, an astronaut? FCS East. Navy. I think Navy they might make the playoff. They might win the national title this year. You do have Oklahoma State with an easy win. Louisville barely wins. Pittsburgh beats Kent State. Cincinnati barely wins. Coastal Carolina. I'm going to start going through these a little bit faster. Dude, come on. Tennessee wins by 1 against an FCS team. Middle Tennessee State. Rutgers barely beats an FCS team. Ohio State dispatches of Akron by 21. They would not cover the spread in real life. There's the Georgia-Clemson game. So Georgia wins that one. Just going to go through this pretty quickly. What was that? FCS? Yeah, so BYU barely wins. We're just going to have to get used to that. This is what it is. Texas barely beats Colorado State. Oregon with a statement. And so South Carolina 43-41. SMU bounces back after that horrible week 1 loss. Louisville with a 50-burger. Oh, Miami beats Florida 52-33. Yeah, these are high-scoring games. California with a 60-burger in week 1. Bama wins easily against Western Kentucky. Notre Dame loses to A&M. That's a big win. That's actually a realistic result. That's probably going to be a lower-scoring game. Penn State, yeah, that's also a realistic result. Beats West Virginia. Oh, my God. Vanderbilt beats Virginia Tech. Everyone thinks Virginia Tech's going to be good this year. And we do have Arizona State high-scoring win over Wyoming. Arizona wins by 9. And then UCLA, they also get a victory as well. So that was week 1. Let's take a look at the top 25. You do have Georgia with 41 first. I'm going to have to maybe do a part 2 to this. I'm already like 7 minutes into it. Yeah, this is going to be a marathon if I do it like this. Ohio State and Georgia splitting the first place votes. Texas also there. You do have teams moving up. Missouri moves up. All these teams moved up. Notre Dame moves down considering they lost. But it was a close loss. We've got Washington entering the fray. Kind of had an irrelevant win. But look at Michigan. Oh my God. Michigan moves way down. Yeah, you lose to Fresno State. Honestly, that's pretty much what I expect with these games. These are the players of the week. Colorado, Will Shepherd. 8 receptions for 131. Kind of random there, so we'll have to see. I'm not going to look at the Wait, does the Heisman Watch even have any players? Quinshawn Judkins, Shador. Yeah, we're going to have to wait until like week 4 or week 5 for the Heisman Watch, I'd say. Let's go back. Ohio State at home against Western Michigan. That's going to be another easy win for them. You would expect, although who knows with this game. They'll probably have Ohio State losing. Yeah, Ohio State will lose to Western Michigan. Wow, Jason Moore with 3 sacks with a breakout game. He was a solid, and he wins National Player of the Week. Jason Moore for Heisman. All right, let's go to the schedule. And oh my God, Michigan is 0-2 already. This is really realistic. Michigan drops out of the top. All right, SMU, they're starting to right the ship after that horrible week 0 loss. Clemson destroys App State. That's a solid, good old-fashioned Clemson defensive mauling. Oh, they actually face App State on a Thursday. So these are the Thursday games. See, now, dude, I can't even do this anymore. I seriously can't. How do they release a game like this? It takes literally 1 week of simulation to know that this has to be fine-tuned. There is no way that they touched Dynasty Sims at all. This is ridiculous. Penn State loses to Bowling Green at home by 9. Missouri beats Buffalo. Cal, wasn't that the home and home with Auburn? Yeah, Auburn would be pissed if they lost. Cal's a higher scoring team this year. Wow, that's a blowout win for North Carolina over Charlotte. Nebraska beats Colorado in that rivalry game. I do like that they have the little rivalry thing right there. Wow, what a boring game. Northwestern beats Duke. Those teams always face each other. Miami beats an FCS team. Big win for Kansas on the road at Illinois. Kansas State now ranked number 14. Mississippi State beats Arizona State. Pittsburgh now 2-0. Rivalry game, I guess, with Cincy. They win by 7. South Alabama sitting 2-0. Memphis now 2-0. Arkansas State's 2-0. Bama beats South Florida. Not an amazing performance there, but they do win. Iowa State beats Iowa in the rivalry game by 5. You do have Western Kentucky winning. Georgia crushing an FCS team with 59. Florida International destroys Central Michigan. And Virginia Tech bounces back as well. Minnesota wins easily. Georgia State. Old Dominion. All right, let's get to some games where there's some ranked teams here. UCF destroys Sam Houston. An FCS team beats James Madison after James Madison was like 7-0 last year to start the season. Akron beats Rutgers on the road. So Akron now a powerhouse. An FCS team beats Kent State. That's a tough loss for Michigan. Texas wins by 1. Michigan 0-2 to start the year. LSU barely beats an FCS team. Okay. Army beats FAU. Army now 2-0. Oklahoma with an easy win over Houston. Oh my God. What is this game? 14-12. What a boring matchup that is. Indiana sitting at 2-0. Shout out. Louisville 2-0. They're ranked there. Kennesaw State won a game last week. They lost to Louisiana here. Utah barely beats Baylor at home. Not a great sign if you're Utah. Toledo sitting at 2-0. West Virginia gets back on track. Notre Dame. Okay, come on. Notre Dame allowing Northern Illinois to score 38 points at home. That's realistic. Ole Miss beats Middle Tennessee State relatively easily. And Ohio State wins 42-14. North Texas annihilates an FCS team. Texas Tech again with a 50-burger. I think Texas Tech might be the best offense in this game. Rice with a win. Boston College beats an astronaut. You've got Wake Forest with a 14-point win over Virginia. UConn. TCU barely beats an FCS team. Navy sitting at 2-0. Wow, dude, they hate Tennessee in this game. Tennessee, again, can't even score. NC State wins. That's a neutral site game. Florida wins. South Carolina. Another FCS team beats Colorado State. Fresno. Okay, come on. How is Fresno State not ranked? They beat Michigan, and then they just crushed an FCS team. They should be ranked. A&M beats an FCS team. Air Force sitting at 2-0. Wow, a shutout. Washington over Eastern Michigan. UNLV wins. USC barely beats Utah State. That's not great in terms of confidence there. You do have Oregon barely beating Boise State. I would rank Boise State after that if that actually happened. That's a good performance. Arizona allows 46 points to an FCS team. See, this is very sad to see. This is not right. They did not handle this correctly at all. When it comes to the top 25, Georgia and Ohio State still sitting very closely. Texas, they did get a win over Michigan, but now Michigan's not even ranked. You do have teams moving up. Missouri now inside of the top 7. You got Utah. You've got all these teams that won moving up. And you do have Tennessee, who barely won in week 1 against a horrible team and then lost to NC State down to number 17. And you do have some teams entering the fray. Florida State, after a bye, they're at 1-1. They re-enter. They face Memphis. And you do also have Iowa State after a nice win on the road against Iowa, re-entering the fray as well. And then when it comes to the players of the week, I think one of them is going to be Jason Moore. Yeah, Jason Moore possibly winning a Heisman this year with 3 sacks against Western Michigan. And then there was a receiver from North Texas. I don't know if people have played North Texas when they're at home. It's like this weird lime bright green. It's pretty sweet. This kid had a crazy game though. 7 for 221 and 4 touchdowns. He might be you got to put him on the Heisman leaderboard after that. Like, that's ridiculous. You don't have 221 yards in week 2 and he's not on the leaderboard. He's not on the leaderboard, really. But yeah, so there's some random people on there. But either way, we're going to advance again. And I might have to do a part 2, maybe even a part 3 to this if this is how slow I'm going to go. So Ohio State is on a bye week, but obviously other teams are going to be playing. We will just take a look. I mean, this is only week 3 now. And, hey, they're giving me free points for nothing. Okay. We're going to go ahead and advance there. Now Ohio State faces Marshall, who's sitting at 0-2. But we will go. South Carolina beats LSU by 4. Wow. LSU with a bad start to the season there. All right, let's go take a look at some of these games. Illinois gets a win finally. Memphis gets a win. UAB. Charlotte pitches a shutout. Georgia Southern loses to an FCS team. They're 0-3 now. North Carolina with another blowout win. We've got, I'm just going to go past these really. Michigan finally gets a win against Arkansas State. They're ranked number 25 at 1-2 now. They win 45-7. LSU sitting at 1-2. South Carolina 3-0, but somehow not ranked. Nebraska now bouncing back after that week 1 loss. Vanderbilt sitting at 3-0 somehow. They beat Georgia State on the road. Northwestern barely beats an FCS team. That figures. And we do have Ole Miss randomly losing, getting blown out by Wake Forest. That's very realistic. Texas with a good defensive performance. Bama, how is this high scoring of a game? Bama beats Wisconsin 49-35. Miami with almost a 60 burger on Ball State. Yeah, Ball State is the worst team in this game apparently. You do have Nevada sitting at 4-0. Nevada beating Minnesota. You do also have UMass sitting at 2-1 now. Surprising win. Kansas State, that's a horrible loss to Arizona. Those are games you got to win. Arizona State loses to Texas State in a high-scoring game. Maryland gets a win. North Texas beats Texas Tech. Wow. Tulane beats Oklahoma. Oh, see, the parity is just way too strong. I'm trying to... Troy beats Iowa. Hawaii beats Sam Houston. UNLV nearly beats Kansas. That was the bowl game matchup. FAU wins. NC State sitting at number 8 in the country now. So they're rewarded with a top 10 ranking after beating Louisiana Tech by 4 points. That's great. UCLA beats Iowa by 1. Georgia beats Kentucky. Kentucky now 0-3. Decent fight by Kentucky there, though. Baylor wins. You've got Western Kentucky winning. Michigan State now is ranked at 3-0. They beat an FCS team. You do have Missouri getting blown out by Boston College, and somehow Boston College isn't even ranked at that point, even though they're 3-0. Tulane wins. You do have Virginia Tech getting a victory. Auburn bouncing back. Florida State barely beating Memphis, 46-44. Kennesaw State beating San Jose State in an upset. Utah now inside of the top 6. So some just crazy results here. Rice is now 3-0. Colorado destroys Colorado State on the road in a rivalry game. You do have Notre Dame sitting at number 9 in the country, even with a loss, beating Purdue. You've got Tennessee beating Kent State, barely 43-39. My God, at least Tennessee scored more now. You've got West Virginia winning easily against Pitt. And A&M, who's now number 7, beats Florida 45-21. Rivalry game there. Oregon sitting at number 4. They beat Oregon State. TCU now enters the fray as a top 25 team. And Washington does lose to Washington State in the Apple Cup. Fresno State now 3-0, still somehow not ranked, even after that impressive win that they had against Michigan in week 1. I believe I'm going to do one more week. Yeah, I'll go ahead and advance. Well, actually, let me take a look at the players of the week. Let's just see if, because there are always players. Another North Texas player, 2 interceptions. Oh, Connor Wigman, 26 of 32, 326, 5 total touchdowns, 90 rushing yards. Wow. An impressive week from him. we will go ahead and advance. And this is the final week I'm going to do right now. I didn't think it would take this long. I mean, I guess if you don't go through all the games, it wouldn't. But maybe I should have done it faster. But let's see. Ohio State did win against Marshall. Clemson beat NC State in a really nice matchup there. Oh, this is the Georgia-Alabama game. Yeah. Maybe I'll just look at ranked matchups. I think it's better to go through all of them, I guess. Wow, Syracuse beat Stanford by 20. These are just some crap matchups. Iowa State beats Arkansas State. Michigan beats USC 40-39. All these games just crazy high scoring. Florida wins. Louisville now at number 7. They win by 1 point. Some more games here. Akron, Akron should be ranked at this point. I'm not even kidding you. Akron should be ranked. They're 3-1 now. They beat South Carolina. You do have Indiana barely beating Charlotte. Penn State taking care of business against Kent State. Miami losing to South Florida. What a terrible loss that is. Southern Miss at 4-0 now. Kentucky barely beats Ohio. Rutgers beats Virginia Tech. That's a bad loss for Virginia Tech. A&M beats Bowling Green. Notre Dame loses at home to Miami of Ohio. Oh my God. Ohio State beats Marshall by almost 20. North Texas sitting at 3-1. Illinois beats Nebraska. Minnesota beats Iowa. FSU barely beats California. They're ranked at number 17. Ole Miss at number 13 beats Georgia Southern. Mississippi beats Vandy, so Vandy started 3-0. Kansas now is a top 10 team at number 8. They win against West Virginia. You do have Sam Houston easily winning. New Mexico beats Fresno State. North Carolina beats James Madison. UCLA beats LSU. LSU having a rough season at 1-3. Washington with a horrible loss to Northwestern. Kansas State ranked again. Purdue gets a win on the road. Boston College is a powerhouse right now. They crush Michigan State. They should be ranked higher than 24. They've gotten some big wins. SMU sitting at 3-1 now. Texas with a pretty bad performance against UL Monroe. Tennessee wins. That's a good win for Tennessee. They're inside of the top 10 now after that horrible start. Clemson beats NC State. That was the big game. Oklahoma State beats Utah by 1 point in a very important game. And Colorado now Colorado on offense is OP in this game for sure. But yeah, so that was the result in week 4. And I am going to go to the players of the week. Liam Andrews with 4 sacks. Oh my God. 271 receiving yards and 4 touchdowns for McCauley. Oh, Jesus Christ. Ohio State versus Michigan State. We're going to go one more week. We'll do one more week of a simulation. I'll check the Heisman as well. So this is week 5 now. I'm guessing Ohio State won if they got that much XP or whatever. Yeah, Ohio State's 4-0 now. They won on the road. Now, how is Iowa 1-3? Now Ohio State's the number 1 team in the country. Oregon beat UCLA. Good win for Oregon. But I'm going to quickly go through these. Oh, no, that's week 6. Week 5. 8 points for Army. Okay. That's a good win for Miami. Nebraska loses another game. Texas barely beats Mississippi State. Maryland now is ranked. Ohio State beats Michigan State handily. Rice is 5-0 now. Kansas is number 7 in the country. Close home win. They're 5-0. A&M is ranked number 5 now at 5-0. They beat Arkansas. Miami of Ohio is having a decent season as well. Boston College just continues to destroy teams. Boston College is having a year. NC State beat Northern Illinois by a ton. NC State's, they're coming on strong. Kansas State with a win. That's a good win for Kansas State. Notre Dame sitting at 2-3 now. Louisville, the number 6 team in the entire country. Michigan back up to number 14 or number 16. Nice win there. Washington having a very bad season. Bama beats Georgia at home by 10. So Georgia falls back to number 9. Bama's at number 2 now. Penn State loses at home to Illinois. Clemson at number 10 now with a win against Stanford. More of these games. Colorado gets destroyed by UCF. UCF now ranked at number 21. LSU having a rough season. Having a brutal season. How about Florida International with 52 points? Memphis sitting at 4-1. Florida State, another close game. That's a good win for Florida State on the road at SMU. Ole Miss gets destroyed at home against a 2-3 Kentucky. 45-0. Boy, Akron is good this year. Oregon sitting at number 4 now in the country. They're undefeated. Yeah, so the playoff picture is coming. Fresno State at 4-1. Oh, so they lost last week. Utah with a big win against Arizona. USC 43-41. And then Boise State gets a nice win. So the playoff picture slowly starting to come together. You look at the top 25. I would say Ohio State, Alabama pretty much locks for the playoffs at this point. Probably Texas as well. Probably also Oregon. A&M right now, shocker, sitting at number 5 in the nation. Louisville, the number 6 team in the nation. Kansas at number 7. Tennessee sitting at number 8. Georgia falls down to number 9. Surprised they fell that far, actually. Missouri still at 11. NC State. Utah back up. Michigan stabilizing their season after losing those first 2. They can still make the playoff. You do have Boston College having a crazy year so far. Boston College is a team I'm going to follow here. UCF enters. Maryland enters. Penn State moves down. Liberty, they have the easiest schedule in all of college football. They enter. I might just do a full playthrough here and just go through it and try and do this in an hour. Let's take a look at the players of the week. Okay, Cade Klubnik, 331 passing yards and looked like 3 touchdowns. And then the Heisman watch. Who's the number 1 leader for the Heisman? Oh, the QB from Liberty. That would definitely not happen in real life. But there are the Heisman. I mean, yeah, the QB from Boston College. Not surprised. Look at these schools, though. Liberty, Arizona, North Carolina, Boston College. This kid actually should win it. Thomas Castellanos. We're going to go back and we're going to advance the week. So this is week 6 now. I'm guessing Ohio State won again. Yeah, Ohio State, number 1 versus number 4. They're facing Oregon now. Wow. Georgia beats Auburn. That's a big win for Georgia at home. I mean, in real life, they would easily win that game. Let's look at all the scores in week 6. North Carolina ranked now. They beat Pitt. NC State moves into the top 10. App State sitting at 4-2. Florida with a 50 burger against UCF. Florida 3-2 now. Ohio State beats Iowa easily. Penn State loses again. UCLA goes on the road. That might be the whiteout game. 20-18. Ole Miss tries to bounce back. They get a win. Boston College wins again. Lower scoring game this time. Wisconsin, they've had a real bad season so far. Nebraska, 0-3 in the Big Ten. USC is having a real nice season right now. Georgia, Bama destroys Vanderbilt. Now we're getting some more realistic scores. Texas Tech crushes Arizona. Boise State having a nice season. Louisiana sitting at 5-0 right now. Iowa State inside of the top 25. Tennessee right now, 59-10 inside of the top 6. Miami against California with an easy victory. They're ranked like number 17 or something. Wow, how about Akron, 5-1 now? Louisville loses to SMU. SMU's starting to play better. Michigan loses their 3rd loss against Washington in the rematch. Both of these teams already have 3 losses. Missouri with a crippling, well, that's actually a respectable loss on the road at A&M. A&M now 6-0 right now. Clemson beats Florida State. That's a big win for Clemson. Oregon with a 7-point win over Michigan State. Michigan State nearly a huge upset. Syracuse is sitting at 4-1 right now. And that's going to do it for that week. Let's take a look at the players of the week. I'm also going to look at the top 25. Austin Bolt. That's a great name for a receiver. 7 for 186. What's with all these receivers having 4 touchdowns? I feel like that rarely ever happens. It happens every week in this game. No real movement here. You do have Tennessee up. You've got some teams up. Missouri moves down. Louisville moves down. Boston College up to number 16 now. Liberty moves up to number 21. Ole Miss. Notre Dame enters the rankings at 2-3. See, this is the problem I'm talking about with this game. There's a big issue. It's based on their overall, but it is a huge problem. So this is obviously one of the games of the year right now. Ohio State sitting at number 1. In real life, I think Oregon would probably be ranked like 2 or 3 based on who they've beaten. But we are going to go ahead and advance. Actually, Alabama would probably be number 1 because they beat Georgia and they're still undefeated. But nonetheless, we're going to go ahead and see who wins the seismic battle. And we should know pretty much immediately. Ohio State lost. So Ohio State loses to Oregon on the road. Clemson beats Wake Forest. I thought it was going to be the game that they were going to show. Week number 7. You've got all these games. Memphis sitting at 5-1. Georgia destroys Mississippi State. It's been a season from hell for Mississippi State. Texas sitting at number 3. That's a big win over Oklahoma. North Carolina barely beats Georgia Tech. Louisville loses. They're already outside of the top 25. They were inside the top 10 2 weeks ago. Missouri randomly facing UMass and they almost lost. Holy crap. Maryland at number 15 now. Iowa with 45 points. That's realistic. Notre Dame beats Stanford, so they're sitting at 3-3. Oregon with a pretty easy victory, convincing victory. Ohio State back to number 7. Oregon at number 2, probably only behind Alabama. Yeah, Alabama destroys South Carolina. They're a machine right now. Clemson's having a good year. Syracuse 5-1, unranked still after beating NC State on the road in a defensive battle. Iowa State at number 8 now. 15 points. What a weird score that is. Toledo at 5-1. We can kind of go past. There's a lot of average teams here. I think that was Colorado State's first win. Yeah, it was. Akron sitting at 6-1. We got to rank Akron. USC gets a win over Penn State. Penn State 0-3 in Big Ten play. Florida enters the fray with a huge win over Tennessee. That's a very tough loss for Tennessee. They lose by a point. LSU beats Ole Miss. They enter the fray with 3 losses ranked. Utah at number 9 right now. There were a lot of teams on byes. Fresno State at 5-1. Colorado gets a 3-point win. They're at 4-2. Hawaii is 5-1. That's a huge win over Boise State. Wow. But these rankings, I gotta say, they're really not making sense right now. I mean, you can see Oregon moving up. You can see Texas. A&M had a bye last week. They're at number 4. Georgia, Clemson, Ohio State down. Iowa State possibly going to be in the playoff. Missouri is up. Boston College up to number 12. They're a Cinderella trying to make the playoff. Tennessee is down. Miami's up. Maryland. Liberty at number 17 now, even with their horrible schedule. And then we've got 3-loss Notre Dame and 3-loss LSU ranked. And Rutgers, 5-1 after beating Wisconsin. They enter the fray, and they are actually ranked. You've got to be kidding me. Players of the week. Money Parks, what a name. It's always a receiver that has like 200 receiving yards. But we will go ahead and simulate again. So Ohio State has another bye this week. But obviously, this is week 8, so a lot of other teams are playing. I wish it gave you like you could check to see like who has a percent chance to make the playoff and things like that. Ohio State facing Nebraska at home this week. A&M wins again on the road by 3. A&M is having a crazy year right now. Normally these Thursday games are not good. Wow, Boston College, the Cinderella season on a Thursday night in mid-October. Oh, it's a spooky loss. FSU destroys Duke. It's a nice win for them. Rutgers at number 19 now beats UCLA. Auburn beats Missouri. Missouri down to number 24 now. A&M with a big win on the road. They're inside the top 4. Clemson's really good in this sim. Wow. Kansas gets shut out by Houston. They're 5-2 now. Ohio beats... Oh, I thought that was Maryland. Never mind. Michigan in a very boring game beats Illinois. A little snow game in mid-October, huh? Iowa loses again. Nebraska gets a win. Maybe they'll make a bowl. We'll see. Oregon holds serve against Purdue. Georgia, huge game against Texas on the road. They win. Georgia sitting at number 3 in the nation. Texas falls back to number 8. LSU with their 4th loss. Oklahoma having a season from hell right now. It's a tough year for Oklahoma. Iowa State sitting at number 7, undefeated. There's really not. Maryland at number 10 in the country beats USC at home. Maryland somehow inside of the top 10 now. Bama beats Tennessee. Good win for Bama. They're at number 1. Florida loses to Kentucky. Notre Dame crushes Georgia Tech. They're at 17th. Miami gets a big win over Louisville. Utah inside of the top 10. Memphis at 6-1, but they're still not ranked. 29-9, a weird score. 23-0. Air Force gets shut out. Fresno State finally gets ranked. They beat Nevada. Nevada's lost 3 straight games. Colorado now sitting at 4-3. They lose to Arizona. And Hawaii goes on the road and shuts down Washington State 17-6. Hawaii now sitting at 6-1 in an ultimate surprise season for Hawaii. The Rainbow Warriors, who would have thought? We'll take a look at the top 25. Georgia back up to number 3. Clemson up to number 5. Ohio State. Yeah, I mean, it is kind of the normal suspects outside of A&M. Iowa State's another one. There's Texas, Utah, Maryland. Liberty trending up at number 12 somehow. Liberty hasn't beaten a soul, but they're at number 12. Okay. Notre Dame with 3 losses is up there. Rutgers sitting at number 19. Syracuse enters the fray. After having a bye week, they enter. Boston College is down. Missouri having a rough season. That was supposed to be a big season for Missouri. It's not looking too good for them. We will go ahead and advance this week. I would expect Ohio State to pretty easily beat Nebraska, but we will see. Yeah, Ohio State won against Nebraska. They face Penn State now. Penn State's 3-4, but they're ranked. They're 1-3 in conference. Oh my goodness. Let's take a look at the scores. These early games are just whatever. Syracuse gets another win, so they're ranked right now. Boston College trying to bounce back. Oh my God. Texas loses to Vandy. Come on. North Carolina quietly ranked. Maryland another win. They're sitting at number 12. Notre Dame destroys Navy. They're at number 10 now. Ohio State barely beat Nebraska. Good performance from Nebraska. Penn State barely beats Wisconsin, gets rewarded. Indiana, oh my God, Washington has been horrible this year. Virginia Tech, they're kind of bouncing back a little bit, I saw. Kansas State beats Kansas. Oklahoma State back into the top 25. Wow, Memphis at 7-1 now. Akron at 7-1. Oregon, higher scoring game at number 2, 52-31 over Illinois. Oklahoma over Ole Miss. Utah 10-3 over Houston. Huh. Bama, they're still undefeated. They're still number one. Good effort by Missouri, but they come up short. Rutgers at number 11 in the country, 35-34. A&M wins by 1 at home against LSU. A&M fell back to number 6. Florida State sitting at number 7 now. They beat Miami with 2 losses. Florida State came out of nowhere. I didn't even know they were ranked. Hawaii with another win, 27-11. Another weird score. What is this? The College Football Playoff Committee come up with their rankings? Yeah, this is the playoff committee. So their first rankings, Alabama, Oregon, Georgia, Clemson. I mean, those are the usual suspects. Ohio State. Then you've got A&M. So you've got 1-loss teams in front of A&M. Maybe a bit disrespectful. You've got a 2-loss team in Florida State. Utah, Iowa State, Notre Dame with 3 losses in front of 1-loss teams like Rutgers and Maryland. You've got NC State. You've got Michigan with a ranked 14th. Miami, North Carolina, USC, Liberty, possibly trying to be that group of 5 team to get the auto bid. Kansas State, Texas. Wow. After losing to Vandy, Texas is in danger of missing the playoff. Boston College at 7-1. Penn State with a losing record inside of the top 25. And Penn State, to be honest, they've got a big game this week. They're at home against Ohio State. This could be a huge upset for them. Huge matchup, they're saying. What is this, week 9? Oh, week 10? 13 weeks, I believe, and then obviously all the playoff crap and the bowls. Ohio State did, in fact, beat Penn State. Oregon beats Michigan by 1 point. Wow, that's a tough loss for Michigan. Michigan needed to win that game. Syracuse at number 18. They have 1 loss right now. They get another win. Iowa State loses, gets crushed by Texas Tech. Akron sitting at 8-1 now. Air Force destroys Army. There's the huge game. Oregon beats Michigan by 1 point. Oregon is still undefeated. Florida destroys Georgia. Oh my God. Tennessee now sitting at 4-4. Kentucky enters the top 25. A&M wins again against South Carolina. Clemson, after such a nice run, they get trounced by Louisville at home. FSU, the number 4 team in the country with 2 losses. They beat North Carolina. That's a ranked win for them. Oklahoma State, a top 25 team now. Memphis at 8-1 now. I'm just seeing if any of these teams have good records right now. Miami at number 11, they get another win. Nebraska sitting at 4-5. Hawaii finally lost again. Fresno State still not ranked. Ohio State wins a low-scoring game. That's still a good win for Ohio State. Penn State still inside of the top 25 at 3-5, 5 losses. USC having a nice year. NC State with another win. And then Boise State gets trounced by San Diego State. Going to go ahead and advance again to week 11. I think Ohio State won again. Who did they I didn't even know if they had a game. Yeah, Ohio State beats Purdue by 7 at home. That's a good performance by Purdue, honestly. Week 11, that's Miami of Ohio. Yeah, that's Maction right there. Tennessee gets a win. Louisville enters the top 25. There's Ohio State's win. Michigan loses on the road at Indiana. They're 5-5 now. Oregon crushes Maryland. Oregon, the number 1 team in the country. Maryland falls to 14. Georgia needed that win really badly. Miami with a big win. Kansas destroys Iowa State. They enter the top 20. Liberty at 8-1, so they must have lost. They fell out. Clemson barely beats Virginia Tech. North Texas sitting at 6-3. Missouri beats Oklahoma. Oklahoma's first year in the SEC did not go well. Wow, NC State lost to Duke. They're screwed. FSU sitting at number 3 in the country. They beat Notre Dame. Notre Dame's still number 11 with 5 losses. Penn State with a 2-point win. High-scoring game against Washington. Bama loses. Bama's first loss, and they fall to number 12 in the country. It's not very realistic, let's be honest. Florida beats Texas. Texas is possibly going to miss the playoff now. Colorado with a blowout victory. This game is at Wrigley Field, I think. All right, I'm going to simulate to the next week. This is week 12 now. So this is the second to last week. It should be, right? Or because there's 2 byes, it might be the third to last week. Maybe because there's 2 byes. And there's a shocker. Ohio State beat Northwestern. Yeah, there are still 2 more weeks. That's what I thought. I'm going to just probably go through the top 25 here. And see some of these games. Week 12. Wow, Oregon 26-12 in the cold probably. Texas hangs on to beat Arkansas. Iowa State beats Cincinnati. Kentucky. Oh, the FCS games for the SEC. That's right. Liberty 9-1. Notre Dame at number 8. So they're a 4-loss team that might make the playoff. Ohio State now the number 1 team in college football. Rutgers the number 4 team in college football now. Georgia looking good. Clemson with a win. Kansas sneaking up. A&M still undefeated. Boston College sneaking back into things. Nebraska with an upset on the road in the Coliseum. Florida sitting at number 11. Syracuse is 9-1, but they're number 13. And Utah beats Colorado. So this is getting close. I'm going to simulate again here quickly. We will go through all of the standings at the end. Actually, you know what? Let's look at the bowl predictions right now. Some of the good first round of college football playoff. Louisiana versus Ohio State. I thought Ohio State would have a bye. Notre Dame versus Georgia. Florida versus FSU. Wow, that'd be a crazy game. Miami. How many Florida teams are going to make it? Miami, Rutgers. Come on. People. Hold on. And then they've got all these to be determined. They have Oregon winning the Big Ten. Clemson, Utah, A&M. Man, A&M possibly. Music City Bowl, Alabama versus Michigan. Didn't they already play something like that? I think Alabama faced Michigan in one of those crap bowls or whatever. But we will go ahead and just simulate again. Ohio State still has to face Michigan, but this game's going to be an easy win against Indiana, I would guess. Yeah, they are 10-1. We will quickly go to these scores here. Go to the top 25, week 13. So NC State trying to get back into the mix. They should get to a good bowl game. Penn State at 6-5, but they're ranked number 16. Missouri back into the top 25. A&M still undefeated. Boston College at number 13. Miami with a huge win. Clemson destroys an FCS team. Georgia barely beats UMass. Not a horrible year from UMass, 5-6. Maryland gets a win. Rutgers at 10-1 and number 5 in the country. It makes total sense. Ohio State with a win. USC possibly still with a chance to make the playoff. Kansas at number 15. Oklahoma State loses. Notre Dame destroys Army. Yeah, they're probably going to make the playoff with 4 losses. FSU beats an FCS team. Utah with an easy win. Southern Miss now at number 23, sitting at 10-1. Could they be the group of 5? Texas with a really bad season. 7-4, they're going to be out. Liberty, 10-1. Florida with a huge loss there. Syracuse possibly making the playoff. Maybe hosting a playoff game at the JMA Wireless Center. And Alabama with an upset loss. I don't know how Alabama's at number 19 in the country. That makes literally no sense considering they've got that win over Georgia. But they're probably going to be out with 2 losses. So we will go ahead, and I'm just going to simulate again. Ohio State versus Michigan sitting at 5-6 on the year. So I would expect Ohio State to beat Michigan this year at least. Yeah, Ohio State beat Michigan. So Michigan finishes outside of a bowl. Come on, man. Bruh. Army-Navy game. Wow, both of those teams are not going to make a bowl. We will look at the Week 14 results. Memphis is ranked at 10-2. Utah with a debilitating loss to UCF. They were knocked out. Wow, 49-48. Colorado misses a bowl game. Ohio State crushes Michigan. They're the number 1 overall team. Maryland at number 6. That's a crazy game. 49-47. A&M finally loses to Texas, but Texas already has 4 losses. A&M's probably still going to be in. Syracuse beats Miami. Both of those teams very close. Looks like Syracuse could be in. Kansas loses. Clemson should be in. 57-55. What? Notre Dame sitting at number 5 in the country with 4 losses. Come on. Rutgers sitting at number 4. Dude, Rutgers is crazy. Alabama. Somehow Alabama misses the playoffs at 10-2 in the SEC. Boston College with a crazy win over Pitt. Kentucky at number 12 now. Liberty loses. They're still ranked somehow. Florida State at number 3. Oregon with a win over Washington. Louisiana with a win. And then Fresno State. So Fresno State's finally ranked. Let's see the conference championship. Oh no, that's not this week. Never mind. College football top 25. Ohio State with 1 loss on the road to Oregon, still ranked in front of them. Florida State with 2 losses. Rutgers with 1 loss. Notre Dame with 4 losses. Georgia, Clemson, Syracuse, A&M, Boston College possibly making it. Miami, Kentucky's had a crazy second half of the year. Texas is right there. I mean, what's going to be the group of 5 team? Fresno State, maybe? Look, Alabama, 2 losses. Utah, 2 losses, both on the outside looking in. Fresno State, Memphis, Louisiana, possibly. Liberty. Maybe one of those teams. But we will go ahead and advance this week because this is just one game. This is the Army-Navy game. All right. Another bye week. Do you have the conference championships by chance? Oh, here are the conference. Yeah, so Ohio State didn't even make the conference championship. Rutgers did. Hilarious. Middle Tennessee State at 6-6 makes it against Liberty in Conference USA. Oklahoma State and Utah make it in the Big 12. Oklahoma State possibly could steal that auto bid there. Akron and Toledo, both 9-3. Louisiana and App State, Memphis and UAB, Fresno State, Utah State. Bama could still make it, and A&M. Clemson and Syracuse. Does the loser get knocked out? That's the question. And then Rutgers and Oregon. Somehow Rutgers makes it, so we're going to go ahead and fast forward this. So Ohio State's not going to get a bye. The number 1 team in the country, they're probably going to be the 5 seed. We will simulate to this, and then it'll be the first round of the playoff, and then all the other bowl games. So it should be I'm guessing Ohio State is going to face best interior lineman Donovan Jackson. 12 games. Yeah, he was a former 5-star recruit. I'm guessing Ohio State's going to get a terrible group of 5 team. Best returner. And it is going to be Fresno State taking on Ohio State in the college football playoff. Huge matchup. Fresno State won week 1 against... They won week 1. Let's go to the bracket. They beat Michigan, that's right. So here's the bracket. You've got Notre Dame and Georgia. Notre Dame with 4 losses. They still somehow make it. Winner gets Rutgers. Rutgers won the Big 12 at 12-1. Or the Big 10, at 12-1. Utah takes on either Ohio State or Fresno State. Oregon gets Syracuse at home. I would imagine Oregon's going to throttle Syracuse. I mean, this is what I think is going to happen. Georgia easily beats Notre Dame. Ohio State beats Fresno State. Oregon wins. And how about Boston College? I think Boston College wins. Alabama does end up making it because they won. Wow, Texas A&M got knocked out. After all of that, that's typical Texas A&M. All right, we will go ahead and take a look at the Heisman winner. Cade Klubnik won the Heisman, seriously? Where do you even see his stats, though? That Jalen Milroe's on here. Ooh, a receiver from Clemson, Dylan Gabriel. I am going to go to... When is this? I wonder when this game is. Like, what's the start time of it? Oh, I guess you can go to the scores. I do kind of want to see the start time. And these are all the bowl games, right? So if you want to see these bowl games, the Fenway Bowl, I'll try and find the good bowls. So Ohio State does have the Friday night game against Fresno State. A Friday night game at the Horseshoe. Very weird. Georgia will be on the road at Notre Dame with 2 losses. I don't know how Notre Dame gets that home game. That's a 3:30 premium home game. Wow, Texas is in the Las Vegas Bowl. Boston College and Florida State get the noon game. That's the worst time slot. Taking a look at this. Syracuse and Oregon, this game in Eugene, so it's going to be a 5 Pacific start time. Syracuse at Oregon. And then Miami, Memphis. Man, Miami, they just missed out. Penn State misses out. They're in the Independence Bowl at 6. I mean, they're 6-6. How are they ranked number 18, folks? Let's get it together. Rice had a nice year. Yeah, Rice did have a good year. Louisville, they got knocked out. Wow, Nebraska ended up 7-5. And just some irrelevant bowls there. But there we have it. So we're going to go ahead and simulate round 1. I think round 1 should go pretty... Although, who really knows? Who really knows? I think it should go pretty chalky, but this game is crazy. Wow, I got an achievement for simulating. That's amazing. Give me my G points. Yes. Remember when G points were big? Oh my God, Ohio State won? Yes, I'm a great coach. Holy. I'm really good at this game. So Ohio State beats Fresno State, and Jack Sawyer with 1 sack and 2 tackles for a loss. Now Ohio State faces Utah. This is an easy run for Ohio State. Fresno State and then Utah. Yeah, Ohio State still number 1 according to the college football playoff, but we will take a look at the bracket. I think they'll show the scores. Yeah, Georgia beat Notre Dame. Notre Dame finishes 8-5, so Georgia easily handles them. Ohio State won 21-15. Oregon holds serve against Syracuse. Syracuse had a really good year, though. And Boston College is knocked out as well. So this is actually pretty realistic outside of Rutgers. Yeah, this is really realistic. So we'll see if Rutgers, who is going to be hosting Georgia... Oh, no. It's at the Rose Bowl. Yeah, so you'll be able to see this and where these games are located. So this is the Fiesta Bowl. That's in Glendale. Pasadena. Rutgers going to Pasadena. Bama and Florida State, that's the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans. Atlanta, Georgia, Oregon, Clemson. So those are the big matchups. And we will take a look and see and advance this week and get to the semifinals. I'm guessing Ohio State lost. Yep, Ohio State lost. So Ohio State has been knocked out by Utah. Let's go to the bracket. Oh, Kansas won a bowl game. Utah beats Ohio State 35-28. Georgia wins again. So Rutgers, it's unfortunate. Oregon wins and Bama wins. So that's a pretty dang realistic top 4, maybe outside of Utah. But, I mean, this is becoming very realistic here at the end. I have to give them credit. But you could also say kind of boring. So let's just go to let's just simulate until... and see what the national title is. Ohio State's season is over, so there's not going to be any updates there. Let's just go to the bracket. And it is, wow, remember that game like 2 years ago, Oregon versus Georgia? So Georgia beats Utah by 5, Oregon wins by 6, and now it's Oregon versus Georgia in the national title. And I'm just going to simulate again. See who wins the national title. And it is Oregon by a point. So Oregon wins a game for the ages, 31. Well, I didn't want to click on that. Final top 25. I'm guessing Oregon's number one. Georgia's not. Yeah. So here it is. Oregon at number one. Georgia at number two. Rutgers finishes number 3 overall in the AP final poll. Ohio State at number 4. Miami at number 5. They must have had a really good bowl win. A&M at number 6, but they missed the playoff, even with a 7-1 record in the SEC West. Florida State finishes pretty high at number 7. Clemson, Syracuse with a breakthrough season. Bama at number 10. Notre Dame with 5 losses at number 11. Boston College with a breakthrough season. And then you can see the rest. Maryland had a surprisingly good season. Penn State with a losing record at number 23 somehow. But yeah, so that is the year. A little fun simulation I wanted to do. Trying to go through like all the games there. But Dylan Gabriel, did he end up winning the Heisman? I think Cade Klubnik won the Heisman, right? Yeah, he's got the trophy. I think he won it. Well, actually, I don't know. Maybe Dylan Gabriel did win it. Yeah, who won the Heisman? All right, award winners. Player of the year, Dylan Bell, a receiver. See, like, how can you not go to his stats? That's absurdly dumb. Carson Beck was there as well. Look at this. Georgia, Oregon, Oregon. Oh, so that is... Wait, so that is the Heisman Player of the Year? A receiver won the Heisman? Best head coach? There's no head coaches in the game. Best quarterback, Carson Beck. LT Overton for Alabama. Best defensive player. I'll just quickly go through these. Nicholas Singleton. Yeah, there's Dylan Bell. I don't know what numbers he put up. Golden arm to Carson Beck. Boy, LT Overton must have had a crazy year. I thought that kid was a defensive end for Georgia. I don't know. But those are all the rankings right there. And all the award winners. So, guys, I just wanted to do this for fun. That's a little simulation. You can take a look at the All-Americans here if you want. Although it's kind of a... Donovan Edwards made it. Yeah, they made Donovan Edwards really good in this game. McMillan, he's going to be a top pick out of Arizona. Another Arizona player made it. Jack Sawyer for Ohio State made first team. Tyleik Williams made first team. Mason Graham. Will Johnson, not surprising. Caleb Downs. Yeah. Barrett Carter. Second team. Walter Nolan makes it. Harold Perkins Jr. Freshman, top freshman. Lama Leva makes it. This is his second year, but I think he's a redshirt freshman. Boy, a lot of Clemson players here. But that's going to do it. So I just wanted to do this little fun video, just going through it. And Oregon ends up beating Georgia. Very realistic there at the end. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.